In the world of power banks and mobile charging devices, the name Anker is one of the most popular and trusted. And here we have the Anker SOLIX C1000, a 1 kilowatt battery. Now this is a 1 kilowatt battery, or 1000 watt battery. That's 1056 watt hours. It's also got a built-in inverter, and it does a whole lot of things. Let me start by telling you what sort of battery it is. It's a 1056 watt hour lithium iron phosphate battery. Now, being that it's lithium iron phosphate and not regular lithium iron, it's rated to around 3000 cycles. That means drained, charged, up to 3,000 times. Regular lithium ion is usually around about 800. Lithium iron phosphate can be drained and charged around 3,000 times, and then it will still charge, but usually to around about 80%. So you can still keep using it, but it's not as good. But 3,000 times, that's once a day for over 9 years. That's every single day for over 9 years. So if you're someone that wants something like this just to take camping, it's going to last you a very long time. Now, in this 1 kilowatt battery, there's 4 power points, and there's an inverter inverting the 12 volt power to 240 volts. So you can run your television or anything that runs out of your wall socket, and it'll run up to 1800 watts. So I had my television running off this last night, my 55-inch TV, and it was pulling about 70 watts, and it ran all afternoon and into the night, and there was still 20% left, and I went to bed and turned it off. So it's got 4 power points, and that 1800 watts can all come out of one, or it can be divided up into 450 each. You can have any combination as long as you don't go over 1800 watts. Now, you can actually go over 1800 watts. It's got like a built-in surge mode. I think they call it surge pad. All of these devices seem to have something like this and all have different names for it. Basically what that means, it'll surge up to 2400 watts. So if you plug in something like, say, a 1500 watt angle grinder or something, and it goes when you first started, it might pull that 2400 watts before settling down again. This will do that really well, no worries at all. But it won't pull a consistent 2400 watts, but it will pull a consistent 1800 watts. Bearing in mind, if you pull 1000 watts, it's going to last for about an hour. Probably a little bit less, because as they get down in power, they generally don't push as much voltage out. But 1000 watts should run for about an hour. So if you're running something for 1800 watts, you're not going to be able to use it all day. What you can do is use it for other stuff all day. Let's break it down. Over here, we've got a car socket, or a 12 volt socket. When I was a kid, we used to call these cigarette lighter plugs. And you can run Engel or 12 volt fridges. Anything that runs off 12 volt can run out of there. Here we have 4 USB-C ports. We have 2 USB-A, just regular USB-A ports. We have a 30 watt USB-C and a 100 watt USB-C. And that's for charging anything that charges off USB, whether it's drone batteries, a laptop, camera batteries, your mobile phone, etc. So that's got your USB covered. And down here, as I said, we've got the 4 main power things to run anything that runs out of your wall sockets. Up here, we have, you might not be able to see it in this light, I might have to turn it on. To turn it on, you hold it once, then you push it like a long press. And it'll come on up here, and it says I've got 100%. I don't know whether you can see that on that screen there or not, but so now I can turn my light on and on. You can see it getting brighter there. Low, medium, high, and it actually tells me how many watts it's pulling. It's pulling 1 watt, 2 watts, and 3 watts. I actually find this light very, very useful. Even at just 3 watts, if I'm camping, that nearly throws out enough light for me to cook under. It's quite a useful light, and it pulls hardly any power. In fact, it'll tell me how long here it'll run that for. It's maxed out, 99.9 hours. It's probably a lot longer than that. I'm going to plug a big device into this in a little while. In fact, I'm going to run an air fryer off it. I think it's a 1500 watt air fryer, and I'm going to cook some chips right here out the bush, just to show you how it works. Now, because it's lithium iron phosphate and it's rated for at around 3,000 charges. It actually comes with a 5-year warranty. It's on the side here, it's got an expansion plug where you can plug an extra battery in. So this is 1056. You can also get a 1056 watt hour battery just without the screen and stuff. It sits perfectly on top, and this huge big cord just goes straight into it like that, and that gives you 2 watts of power. It doubles the capacity, but it's still 1800 watt output, maxed at 2400. So we've got the expansion on that side. I'll turn my light off. Over here on this side, that's the power in from the wall. You plug it in there and you charge it from the wall. In the middle, there's an overload. So if you do overload it, if you happen to plug, say I've got my air fryer plugged in and then I plug an electric kettle or something in, it'll probably overload it and it'll shut down. I've just got to unplug it, hit that, and it's good to go again. That's like a surge protector to stop it doing any damage to the battery. And here we have the solar input. Now this is where it gets really impressive. I've got it written down on a little thing here on my phone. Solar and car input. It's an XT60 connection, which is quite popular with a lot of solar panels. In fact, I think my existing solar panels that I have at home will plug into that. But it has a solar input of up to 600 watts. So you can get 2 300 watt solar blankets or solar panels, plug them together, and get up to 600 watts of solar input. This comes with the cord that you plug into there from the wall socket. It also comes with a car cord, one of these, to go into your car and charge it from your car. And it comes with a cord to go into here it's got a splitter on it, so you can plug it into 2 separate solar panels. So you can run it off 1 or 2 solar panels. But 600 watt input is pretty impressive for one of these power banks. Now, I had this charging off my car yesterday, and it was charging at a steady 100 watts, which is around about standard. Now, it's app compatible. So over here, there's a button. If you push that, a little phone flashes up here, and that allows you to connect your phone to the Solix via the app. And I'll show you the app right now. Right, so I'm going into the Anker app. Up the top it says Solix offline. No devices found. Connect. It's trying to connect by Wi-Fi, and I'll go further into that shortly, the difference between the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth. Right, so we're connected, and you can see here that it's currently 100% and 23 degrees. DC input is off, AC input is off. Underneath AC input, you'll see where it says ultra fast charging. What that is, when I charge this from the wall socket, I'll show you in a second, it maxes out, there's a setting, it maxes out at 1000 watts. So you can control how fast you charge it, 200 watts, 400 watts, up to 1000 watts. But if you hit where it says ultra fast charging, that'll then charge it at over 1300 watts. And when you do that, it'll charge this entire battery, this 1 kilowatt, from 0 to 100% in under an hour, 58 minutes. But I'll go into that more shortly. Then we've got USB outputs. You can see there's nothing happening there. Charger output, AC output, brightness. So brightness, I'll turn the light on. See the light come on? I'm doing that from the app. So the light, I've just turned the light on, low, off, low, medium, high. Now the screen, I can turn the screen off, or I can turn it back on. There's not much there. What I'll do, I'll plug something in. I've got a couple of cords here. I'll plug it into my phone while I'm charging. Now you'll see it's charging at 2 watts, 9 watts, 19 watts. So you can see there that USB is charging my, that 100 watt USB is charging my phone. So basically whatever's plugged in, I can see there. That's the same as AC out. In a moment, I'll plug that air fryer in, and then that'll start giving me a reading on how much it's using. So basically, it just shows me what's happening with the device. Now, if I go up to the top right-hand corner here, you'll see settings. Right, I'm going to break this down. The top one, AC recharging power. It says 1000 watts. If I click on that, I can change that down to 200 watts or up to 1000 watts. I'll just have it at 1000 watts. That's the default. Now, at this point, I just want to stop and pause and just mention that you don't have to download the app. This will work without the app, but without using an app, it'll only charge at 1000 watts. With the app, you can go into here when it's charging. Because it's not plugged in, I can't do it now, but where it says ultra fast charging, I touch that and then it'll charge at 1300 watts. But you can't do that without the app, so, but it still is, you can still use it without the app. So it's a 1000 watt device timeout. I think this comes default at 8 hours or 12 hours. I've changed that to never. You can see how you can change that there. I've changed that to never because say I'm camping and I plug a car fridge into this socket over here, then I go out in the boat for the day or something, or I go bushwalking, and the last thing I want is for this to turn off during the middle of the day. So I just always have that set to never, so that it never turns off. I'm in full control when it goes on and off then. Light SOS mode, if I turn that on, the light will flash like an SOS. SOS is Morse code for save our souls. ... dash, and ... Right, I'll turn that off. At night time, that's actually very visible. I'm in the daylight here, it seems, it doesn't look too bright, but at night it's very bright. Underneath there, we've got screen brightness. I've got the screen brightness set to high because it's my only thing I don't like about this, my only niggle or my only nitpick is on the screen down the bottom here where it's got how much time it's got left and how many watts it's pulling and charging. It's a little bit small and my aging eyes have to get right down close to have a look. So I've got the screen brightness up high. That's the only thing I can fault with this. Actually, this is a brilliant device. The screen timeout, 30 minutes. I'm going to change it. I'll change that down. I'll leave it at 30 minutes for now while I'm filming so the screen stays on, but I'll probably change it to 5 minutes. I had it set to 30 minutes this morning so I could film a time lapse of it charging. Now, device name under general settings. I've just got it set at SOLIX C1000X. I think this is the SOLIX C1000X, and the C1000 is the American model, and I think it's got 6 power points at the front instead of 4, but it's still the same capacity and power rating. Now, Wi-Fi. This is important. At the moment, I'm running it on Bluetooth. You can connect the app to this battery with Wi-Fi or with Bluetooth. With Bluetooth, the connection is between the phone and the device. With Wi-Fi, the device connects to your modem and the phone connects to your modem, and what that means is I can check the power of this battery from anywhere in the world. So I can be, at the moment, I'm about 20 kilometers from home. If this was at home, near the modem, I can jump on here and see what it's doing, see whether it's on. So Bluetooth, you can only use in the home or when you're near the battery like I am now. Wi-Fi, you can check the battery if the battery's home and you're anywhere else. If I'm at home and I've got this charging on the solar panels, I can be in Darwin and I can have a look and I can see whether it's charged up or not. Right, temperature is, that just allows you to set it from Fahrenheit to Celsius. I'm in Australia, we use Celsius. Serial number, help and feedback, firmware update. I actually need to do a firmware update. I haven't done it since I bought it. I've got to have it plugged into the wall when I do it. That's why I didn't do it, and then I forgot. But I had a look here. Basically, this is just a couple of small things that were upgraded from the last version, so I'll do that later when I get home. And then there's a user manual that you can download and have all your instructions. So that's the app. The app, as I said, the app isn't the be-all and end-all of everything, but it is very handy. And it does allow you to go into that fast charge mode. Now, this morning I charged this, and I drained it during the night. When I went to bed last night, it was on 19%. So I plugged my tablet into it, a couple of old phones. I've left the light on the full brightness. I took as much power out of it as I could, so that this morning when I got up, it was flat. And I then charged it, and I set a camera up on it to charge it. Now, it started off charging at around about 500 watts, 550. Once it was 23%, I went in and hit the turbo mode, and it just jumped up to 1300 watts for really fast charging. And then at about 55 or 60%, I turned that off, and then it just trickled. It charged at about 900 watts. Once it got up to about 99%, it kept dropping right down. So basically it ramps up, charges, and then ramps back down again near the end. Unless you hit the turbo mode, then it just goes up and pumps it up really quick. I'll share a time-lapse video now of this charging, just so you can see what I just spoke about. You'll actually see Watch it when it gets to 23%, you'll see it spike, and then you'll see it drop down to about 900 or under 1,000 when I turn it off at around about 55 to 60%. Just look like I'm busy here while I'm waiting for him to leave. Right, now before I cook my lunch in the air fryer, there's just a couple of things that I need to mention. This has UPS. That means uninterrupted power source. So if you've got a laptop plugged into here, and this is also plugged into the wall, what that means is the power bypasses the inverter, and you're basically running the power from the wall, but through here, and then if the power goes out, this kicks in within 20 milliseconds, I think, and it will keep the laptop running without you losing anything. So that's very good for medical stuff or things that you just don't want to cut out, like laptops when you're editing videos. So uninterrupted power source. So if you get a brownout, which is when your power dips, or a blackout, this will keep full power to your device. And the other thing I need to mention is that it's the end of financial year sale right now until June the 30th, and there's $500 off, and it's $999. I can tell you now, there's never been a better time to buy a power bank, because when I started reviewing these things a few years ago, or since I started reviewing them, they've just dropped and dropped, a bit like digital cameras. Over the years, technology gets cheaper and cheaper, and this is now, for the next few days, under $1,000. That's a bargain. Right, let's cook some lunch. Right, now I'll turn my light off. I'll plug my PowerPoint in here. I'll just go into that one. Any one will do. Now, it's important to remember this. You've got to push that button there, because that turns the inverter on. I just heard it click, and just heard my air fryer go beep. Right, I'll get my chips. I just bought a small amount out. I didn't bring the whole bag. Shoestring fries. I'll give them 15 minutes at 180 and we'll see how that goes. 180, 15 minutes, start. Right, I'm going to come around this side and have a look. Actually, I don't need to come around this side and have a look. I can look through the app. Right, so what I can see here, and might be a little bit of humming noise, the air fryer is making its own noise, and the cooling fans in the Anker SOLIX are also making a bit of noise. That's when you're transferring 1,400 watts of power at once, things tend to get pretty hot. So the fans kick in. What I noticed when I charged this morning, while it was charging at 550 watts, there was no fan. As soon as I hit turbo, I went up to 1,350, the fans kicked in. But even then, it's not overly loud. It's not half as loud as the air fryer. Now, what I can see here, right, it's down to 98%. It's draining power quick. It's down to 98%. I'm still pulling 15 watts now out of the USB-C. And that's because my mobile phone's on 90%. It's nearly full. Actually, I'll unplug that now. That doesn't need to be plugged in anymore. But it was charging my mobile phone as well. But we can see under the AC power now, we're drawing 1,380 watts to run the air fryer. That's down to 97%. It's doing it easy. It's doing it so easy. I forgot to bring a plate for me chips. I've got one of my daughters in the car. I think she had a sandwich on the way out. She might have a one of those plastic sandwich wrappery baggy things that I can use as a plate. Righto, we're still cooking. Power bank's down to 93% and it's still pulling a steady 1,380 watts. I could run my television and charge 3 or 4 mobile phones off there all at once without any problems whatsoever while using the air fryer. Anyway, we're on 92%. We're still pulling a steady 1,380 watts. Now, just a reminder, folks, there will be a link in the video description below to where you can find this and all of the other models that are all on special for the end of financial year sale, and there's a substantial amount of money off them. So make sure you check out the link in the video description below, and hopefully I'll remember to put one in the pinned comment as well. I can smell my chips. Right, we're down to 66%, and we're into the last minute, I was going to say. Right. So now you'll see there's no power coming out of the AC output because it's finished, it's turned off. And it took 34% out of this. I took a fair chunk out of it. To put that into perspective, I reckon I ran my TV for about 4 or 5 hours last night on that much power. One 15-minute fry up in the air fryer is equivalent to about 4 hours of television. Oh, I can see the steam coming off them. I think I might just give them a little bit longer. Let's just pop them back in for a minute. Give them another 5 minutes or so. I'll crank it up to 200. $200 for 4 minutes. Let's see how that goes. I'm giving them another 4 minutes at 200 degrees just to try and just make them a little bit crunchier. Almost done, almost done. There you go. 56%. Gee whiz, air fryers use a lot of power. That's nearly half a kilowatt that it's used just to cook my lunch. But how are my chips looking? As good as I bought one. I forgot to bring a plate, so I'm going to have to try and somehow get them into this plastic sandwich wrapper. Looks like 2 trips. Didn't bring any sauce or any salt or anything. Yummo. Anybody want a hot chip? Yummo, chips in the air fryer. You want one, darling? I've got my daughter with me and she's going to help me eat these chips. There's a few more in there keeping warm too. Folks, chips in the air fryer. Who would have thought? This Anker SOLIX power bank is a ripper. I highly recommend it. I've reviewed a number of these types of products over the years and I think this is probably my favourite one. To be honest, one of my favourite parts is this light. It's just so convenient. It's such a nice light. At the night time, last night at my place, it lit up my whole lounge room. It's a lot brighter than it looks. It's very good, very convenient. It's well priced, and you can cook chips on a cold winter's day. Don't forget to check out the link below in the video description and in the pinned comment to where you can find this on sale until the 30th of June. Thank you all very much for watching. Want some more chips?
Yeah.
Go for your life.
Thank you. I have 2.